What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So make sure you come back tomorrow for our giveaway winners. I know I just did an Amethyst Emerald deck list as well, but I thought I'd bring you guys this one. Catch Me If You Can. It's a evasive based aggro strategy. This is one that I actually built for my son, and we were playtesting a whole bunch, and it's actually been going really well. So I thought I would bring this to you guys in case any of you have littles who are going to come try out set championships, go just to your locals, or you want to try and steal some wins at your set championships, because this deck can be pretty sneaky. It does run into a big red wall in Sisu, things like that just absolutely can wreck it. So the idea there is you want to go underneath those decks and win quicker than they can answer you. So like I said, right off the top, the big things that you're going to have to kind of look out for: Steel Song, obviously, Grab Your Swords is going to do work on this deck. In addition to that, like I said, big Sisu or like Popsicle decks, if they're playing Daring Visitor, Brawls, stuff like that, they are going to be able to answer your evasive threats. But ideally, I guess, you have enough evasives that you force too many answers from your opponent that they just have to stop answering them, and then you just freely quest out with your evasives. The idea kind of came from, I was playing my Dwarven Mine Queen's Castle deck that is on the on the channel somewhere. If you scroll down, you can check that video out, links to Dreamborn, all that good stuff. But a couple of my matchups, I noticed that simply getting out 3-cost Tink and 4-cost Genie, if my opponent couldn't answer to that turn 3-4, I just won those games, because all of a sudden that's 4-4-4-4-4, and you just win the game so quickly once they get out. I'm like, you know, we could pack a bunch more evasives and such in here and see what happens. And it's actually been going over really well. I might bring the deck as well to a set championship for one that my son can't come with me to, but otherwise this is a deck that I'm helping him with and he's learning, and it does have a late game push, closeout, finisher card in Go-Go Tamago that we'll talk about here in a second. So overall, the deck comes in at about $197, so under that $200 budget range. I know that's not necessarily budget for a lot of people, I understand that, but as far as competitive TCGs go, if you can build a deck under $200, that's actually pretty good. Like I said, truly budget, you're looking at like those $60 decks that we've seen do well in the past, like a Ruby Emerald deck seems to pop up once in a while during set championship time, along the same premise of that whole evasive, you can't do anything because you can't answer my board. You just can't. Obviously Genie on its own costs twice that, so you know you're looking at a bigger price range. Anyway, so going through the deck, we do run 12 uninkables, so again, not too many uninkables. This deck was built to be easy to pilot, hard to mess up. That doesn't mean you're going to necessarily see success, because pending your local, your matchups, stuff like that. Again, I just wanted to simplify it and have a deck that my 7-year-old would be able to just go and try to win his own promo card. I definitely think the deck can absolutely do that, and on the right day, you might even be able to get into that playmat discussion. Anyway, though, on our 1-drop spots, we have 2 Chernobog's followers, because I apparently only own 6 of this card, and the other 4 are in my deck. So playing 2 followers, 4 Diablo, 4 Brooms, 4 Merfolks, and 4 Pegasus. Merfolk should be pretty self-explanatory. It is your early quester. We don't need the Maleficent here. You have the uninkable space, so if you want to swap something out for Maleficent, that is fine. Got 10 1-drops of our draw cards. If I had the followers, I'd probably play 2 more followers and 2 less Diablos in here. Diablo is kind of nice, though, because you're really not trying to deal with your opponent's board at all, so maybe 2 less Brooms. And in the event that your Diablo gets destroyed, you get the guaranteed draw, so that's why it's kind of nice to have the 4 Diablos. But any which way, 10 of these cards total is what I would aim for. Whatever you have to do to piece it together, that's fine. The pros and cons of them in this deck are so minimal, just because you're not truly trying to like do all the fancy stuff. You're just turning cards sideways, trying to win quick, trying to draw cards, keep up your resources. The Pegasus shift line is really nice. We'll get down to the big Pegasus later, but when he is shifted, all your characters gain evasive until your next turn, meaning you can essentially get like Pegasus down on turn 1, then come back with like Diablo Merfolk, turn 2, turn 3, shift Pegasus. Now Diablo and Merfolk are both evasive. Quest for 5, nothing's going to get answered on your opponent's turn. Then you can go ahead and quest for another 5 freely, and just like that, you're up to 10 lore before they really get to respond, unless they have a way to truly remove your threats. In addition, Merfolk kind of forces threat removal. Unless they want to discard a card, they will have to use the Sisu, the Brawl, the Storm Rage on. The cards like that, they will have to hit this card, and then they're going to realize that, holy cow, 2/3 of his deck is evasive. How do I hit those cards now that I just burnt up my removal cards on one of the few threats I can actually challenge into? So that's why I like the Merfolk, and I even thought about playing Flynn Rider on 2 just as another one to force a discard or a removal. Snake is there for closing out games. You want to be able to bounce your Ursula if you run into Steel Song. You want to be able to bounce your Go-Go Tamago to really threaten that, like, go ahead, do something, challenge my characters, put damage on yours, because then I'm going to get free lore on my turn to bounce your Roses, to bounce your Goats, and then you get to, once again, get the free lore that way. Go-Go Tamago is evasive, and you don't want to play this card on 2. You really don't have 2-drops, traditional 2-drops in this deck. Like, these 3 cards, you don't really want to play any of them on turn 2. It just slows your pace down, slows your tempo down. Steel Song, you don't really want to necessarily drop Ursula on 2, but you can peek their hand. And I know how tempting it can be to hit like the Storm Rage on, or even a Grab Your Swords. But if they have that whole new world, you really have to hit it, because burn out their hand, and again, keep your evasive threats alive. Go-Go Tamago, though, again, you want to play him after turn 4. This is like your mid to late game. If things aren't going great, you're not closing out the game as fast as you want to, you get into that 15, 16 range, 17 range. Probably my favorite play with Go-Go Tamago, if they have a character with a lot of defense, you crash a goat into their character, put 4 damage on it, play your Go-Go Tamago, you get your 1 lore from your goat, and then you get 4 lore from your Go-Go Tamago. It's a quick 5 lore swing that your opponent can't even try to respond to. It just feels really, really nice. Again, Go-Go Tamago is a mid to late game card. Snake is more there for bouncing in the mid game. Ursula is matchup specific into what you're going to do with it. So ideally turn 1, you come out with a 1-drop, and then turn 2, you either come back with 2 1-drops, or you'll see we're playing 4 befuddles. You come back with another 1-drop and befuddle their 1-drop, and now you have 2 1-drops, you slowed their tempo down, they don't have cards on board. So again, there is not a traditional 2-drop spot in this deck. The 2-drop spot is playing 2 1-drop cards. Then we get into 3 and we really start applying that pressure. You have the Fox if you have to bounce or challenge to remove a threat. Otherwise, again, Fox being able to bounce your Roses, your Crabs, or not your Crabs, sorry, your Goats, your Kit Cloud Kickers, your other cards like that. White Rose being able to generate you that guaranteed lore. Tinkerbell being a multi-quester. Diablo is a draw card. If you don't have this card, that will cut your deck cost almost in half. You'll take 40% of the deck cost right off by taking this out. I put it in here because I have it. I'm not using it, so he might as well, because it's a draw engine card, and it's, again, a card that forces your opponent to answer it, or they're going to be in trouble. This card will generate you so much advantage if it's unanswered, and if it is answered, now your Tinkerbells, your Genies, your other cards are going unanswered, and they're just going to quest out and win you the game via questing instead. So, again, you have so many evasive threats. Like, we have the Pegasus line, the Go-Go Tamago, you have your Tinkerbell, your Diablo, we have the Genie coming into, Pegasus shifting to give everything evasive for a turn, your draw cards, your Merfolk. Like, the deck, like I said, it's actually overperformed how I was hoping it would. Kit Cloud Kicker also there to be able to just reset the tempo, slow your opponent down. If, say, you come out with, like, Merfolk, then you come back on turn 2 with, like, Pegasus Befuddle, then you get to quest for 2 with your Merfolk. Turn 3, you come back with a Kit Cloud Kicker, and all of a sudden now you once again slowed their tempo down. They still have nothing. Then you quest up with the Merfolk and with your Pegasus, so now you're up to 5 with 4 more sitting on the board. And then you shift Pegasus on your next turn, and then you get to quest for 5. You go on up to 10 all of a sudden, and now your board has evasive. And then next turn you quest for another 5, and just you get to 15 on turn by your turn 5. Yeah, by your turn 5 you get up to 15, and you keep bouncing your opponent's stuff. So they really have no board development to even stop you or answer it, and you have multiple evasive threats on board, so you're just going to be able to win out that way. Genie, again, another draw card, and then Merlin just for that generating lore. Like I said, the Befuddle, the Kit, they really reset your opponent's tempo. The Go-Go Tamago, the Rose, the Goats, they all just close out games without your opponent being able to answer it. Diablo generates you crazy advantage, or it gets answered. Merfolk, like Diablo, forcing those answers from your opponent. On the tiny, tiny off chance you can shift a Diablo, I mean, you could potentially shift Diablo if you have the Befuddle, the Diablo. Am I saying to do it on 2? No, I'm not. I'm saying that you can, though, and sometimes it might pop up where that's a good play to start that advantage rolling really well for you. You're just going to, you know, neg a little bit there, but, like, you can really apply a lot of pressure if all of a sudden you have Merfolk, like Merfolk, Diablo, and, I mean, you'd need the ink for it, but theoretically, you could have triple Merfolk Diablo out on turn 2, which would just be very, very difficult for your opponent to deal with, right? Because that would be what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get 7 cards. You'd need 2 ink. You get the 1 draw. So yeah, theoretically, very inconsistently, you could have triple Merfolk Diablo out on turn 2 and probably win that game, let's be honest. So anyway, this is, once again, Catch Me If You Can. Fun idea for a younger kid to play the game, for a player who's maybe new to the game, or a player who wants to just try and sneak out a win with a more fun, untraditional style deck. It's tempo-esque, it's aggro, it's evasive, and like I said, it's actually been performing a lot better than I expected. I 100% went in thinking, absolutely, this deck can go ahead and get you that promo card top 8 easily. And then, like I said, actually playing it out, I'm like, this might actually be able to get you a playmat. And depending if I can get to as many as I want to, I might actually take this to one of them as well that my son cannot come with me for. If everything goes as we hope, I will have a promo to give away on the channel as well. I like to keep one for my collection of each set championship, go out and earn them. And that's the plan. We're going to keep it. We're going to go 4 for 4 ideally, hopefully, possibly, maybe. And then hopefully get another one, and we can go ahead and do a giveaway for you guys on the channel with that. But don't forget, we do have our 5,500 subscriber giveaway as well. I have not really hardly done much with Metafy, so anyone who's actually looked at that, thank you first off. And I do want to get to it more this coming day and next week for sure. I'll be working on some stuff for that, but I also have a lot of other things that I want to do for this, and that's why Metafy kind of takes a back seat, because it's nice and it's cool and it's a little more one-on-one interaction, but at the same time, I don't know, the whole concept of that is not a huge thing for me. I'd rather throw it out here for everyone to be able to just see it all the time, so you guys get my foremost attention. But yeah, anyway, stuff coming, more announcements. Again, tomorrow, though, we'll do our playmat giveaway reveal in the video. So we got the 3 winners on that as well. Previous video has all that information. I promise there won't be another Amethyst Emerald deck next. And also coming very, very soon is my top 10 decks for set championships with a couple deck list examples. Breakdown, why do I think these decks have the best chance to go get you your promos and your playmats, all that good stuff. And then also, again, if you don't want to hear me ramble, go ahead and click off the video if you didn't already. I don't have the analytical breakdown type videos as much right now because I'm testing for set championships, and I'm testing a lot of similar decks that I've already been putting out on the channel, and I just don't want to keep throwing the same exact deck list at you guys because that's what I'm testing right now. But I am also working on bringing back some of those where I take other people's topping lists and get the deck cores, common cards, breakdowns like that, using that type of analytical information for you guys because it doesn't involve my personal testing. Just takes a little bit of time. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble if you did. And until next time, take care.